Hi, welcome to the Black TV Show podcast. I'm your host, Miriam. Welcome back to the podcast. How are you guys doing? For me, I am still, we're still in this lockdown. Hopefully soon, our cases of COVID are going down, so hopefully we'll be able to slowly open up and do things. Today, we are going to be doing Season 1, Episode 5 of The Cosby Show, which is called A Shirt Story. Also, this is another iconic episode. I feel like it's a very known episode. It just seems like Season 1 just has all these iconic episodes. I don't know if it's just me, but whenever mentioned about the show, this is another episode that a lot of people talk about. And so we're just going to get right into it. So this episode aired on October 18th, 1984. So we're getting close to Halloween. I don't think there's a Halloween episode in this season, but we start off in the living room and Cliff starts sneezing. And I've been like this where you just you start sneezing and sneezing and sneezing, but you don't have a Kleenex box around you. And so he runs over to try to get a Kleenex box, and he stops sneezing for a sec, but then when he tries to walk away, he starts sneezing again, and he sneezes in the Kleenex box. So that's contaminated right there. Claire and Theo come back from shopping, and they're fighting about what happened at the mall, and Cliff is asking what happened. And Theo says, or Claire says that Theo didn't let her into the store because it's a menswear. And Cliff agrees with Theo about it. Theo bought a shirt from there for his date with Christine. It is a Gorden Gartelle. Of course, this is not an actual brand. But the name was actually taken from a staff member. Imagine that. You're just maybe an assistant or something. They didn't say exactly what he was at that time, but they just called him a staff member, and decided to use his name as the brand of this t-shirt, or I guess the clothing store. And he actually eventually, for season 6 to 8, or sorry, the last 2 seasons of the series, he became the writer slash producer of the show. So it's crazy to see that. And I remember seeing episodes of episode 7 and 8, and would see Gorden Gartelle, which is so weird to see that. So his name became big from that show. I don't know what he did after the show, but that's a pretty cool fact. And so then Cliff asked how much the shirt was, the cost of the shirt, because Cliff thinks about money like no tomorrow.
Dad, when I wear this on my date with Christine, oh, she is gonna die.
Gordon Prince does it again. How much is it?
See the label? Gorden Gartelle. This is the shirt.
Gorden Gartelle is a big design.
How much?
But the real thrill is the fabric. It's pure silk.
How much? How much? How much?
Dad, if you want quality, you're gonna have to pay for it.
$95.
Oh, well, there must be a pair of pants in there, too.
$95.
Dad, the salesman said this will last a lifetime. And just think, if I live to be 90, that's about $1 a year.
Theo, I don't have a $95 shirt, and I have a job.
Don't you want something better for your son?
Sure. You want to trade your room for that shirt?
No.
All right, then. The shirt goes back.
But Dad, I told Christine I was getting a Gorden Gartelle.
Tell Christine you lied.
And Theo is stalling by saying, it looks good, it looks great, and finally Cliff gets the receipt, and it says $95. So I was wondering, because this is 1984, I wanted to know how much that would cost now, because 95, to me, that is expensive, because I'm just cheap. Just being honest here. But still, it's at this time, it's you would never say to someone that is way, way too expensive, because depending on if it's designer, right? So I wanted to see how much that would cost now. That would be $237.94. Who gets a t-shirt? This is like, or it's not a t-shirt, but it's a shirt with sleeves for $237. That is expensive. Like, no. I agree with Cliff. That is expensive for a t-shirt.
I'll give you $30.
30.
All right then. 5.
Dad, for $30, I can't even get a Gorden Gartelle tie.
Well, what are you, a personal friend of this man? Now, you take $30 and get yourself a nice $30 shirt.
Could you make it 35?
I could make it nothing.
Mom, I'd grab it. You guys are ruining my life. But I don't mind.
So, yeah, he needs to return that back to the store and take that $30 because 95 is too expensive. Like, just even for now, like what teenager would well, okay, maybe I was gonna say what teenager would have a $237 shirt. Rich teenagers would, but like a normal middle class would not. They could spend all that money on other things. Cliff told Theo he has to return the shirt, and of course gave him $30. And Theo was like, "For a shirt? No." And I'm like, "Damn." And so Cliff is like, "I can make it nothing." And so Theo's like, "You're trying to ruin my life, but I'll take the money." And Claire mentions to Cliff, because Cliff is like, what in the world? Why would Theo be like this? Claire says this is a symbol, and the brand is a symbol, saying that you're rich, and that whenever you try to impress someone, you want to have a symbol to impress that person. And what Cliff used to do as a symbol was wear his football outfit, or I guess football shirt, and walk around and impress Claire. And Cliff was like, "That is not a symbol. It was just whatever." And so Thea goes to the kitchen, and Denise comes in asking about the shirt, and Denise says, of course Theo tells Denise that he has to return the shirt. Denise agrees with her parents in saying that it's overpriced. She's able to make one just like that. And Denise was like, "I can make a shirt for $25, because she was basically saying, if you buy a $95 shirt, you're paying for, Gorden Gartelle's limo and, yacht and huge house." She was like, "I can make it for $25. And Theo gives her 30, hoping that that extra 5 will make it way better. And so then we go to the bedroom, for Cliff and Claire's bedroom, and Cliff starts sneezing in the bed. Claire comes in and she's like, "Are you sick?" And he's like, "No," and he's denying it. Like, of course he's sick. He's been sneezing a lot in this episode, basically. And Theo comes in and asks if he's sick, and he's like, "No." And then Theo tells his parents that Denise is making a shirt. And the parents just like, they're like, "No, like, this is not going to work out well." And at first I was like, "Why are you not believing in your daughter? Why wouldn't she, if she's sewn things, believe in her. She'll get it done." But clearly they didn't believe in her, right? And so I was like, "Oh, this is not great." And so they're like to Theo, "Are you sure you want her to make it?" And he's like, "Yeah, for sure." And then Theo leaves, and and the reason Theo came is to tell Cliff to return the shirt. And then Claire tells Denise that Claire tells Denise that making a shirt is not that easy. And they bring up the past about how she started things but never
Yeah.
finish
Well,
them.
Denise, honey, shirts are not that easy to make.
I have a flair for designing. Remember that party dress I made?
Who made?
I made.
Who put the zipper in it?
Well, there are no zippers in shirts.
There's no sleeves on the party dress either.
Why you guys always bring up that old stuff? I think you'd show a little faith in me.
Yeah, I didn't say you couldn't make the shirt. It's just that you have this habit of starting things with all this excitement, and when the going gets rough, you quit.
Like what?
Ice skating,
Guitar,
skiing,
tennis,
ballet,
yoga.
pottery.
Close to 7. Can't you guys think of any more?
We're just talking about how much it costs.
Look, I promised Theo a shirt, and I'm going to finish it without your help.
And then Denise was like, I will finish this shirt and I'll get it done by Saturday. And so she leaves kind of angry. And then Cliff sneezed again and said that is because of dust. I do tend to sneeze because of dust, but it doesn't seem like that is the reason, because he's now in a different room than he was when he first sneezed in the living room. So I'm like, I don't know. For me, it's usually like if I stay in one spot, like sometimes my room is very dusty, or by my desk it's very dusty, and then I start sneezing. That's the reason. But he was moving different locations, so he's sick. And then Denise is making the shirt on the sewing machine, and Theo brings 2 grapes out of like a whole there was like a vine of grapes, but it's only 2 grapes on the vine. And like the Denise is like, what, this is not a snack. He's like, well, it's a short break, like small snack for a short break basically. And so Theo's watching Denise, like he's trying to see what the shirt looks like. Because he's very nervous, basically, like that this might not work out. Theo took a photo of Christine in a moving car on a Polaroid, so it's not a great photo, and he basically puts it beside his face and be like, look, don't we look like a cute couple? It's so cute to see Theo like this, because it's just like, you don't, in later seasons he's very like confident, like, and all, like he wouldn't be this jittery for a date, but it's so cute to see him like this. And Theo is worried that, Denise would not finish the shirt on time and it wouldn't look good. Of course, back in the day, this is when we would have a commercial break. So now we go into Act 2. We're in the kitchen, and Claire Denise comes down the stairs, and Claire asks Denise if she's taking a break, and she's like, yeah. Claire and Cliff ask how it's going, and she gets frustrated when they ask that question. And I do get frustrated sometimes when someone asks me the same question over and over and over again, and I'm just like, can you get off my back? Like, I remember there was a time, this is when I was back in university, and I was, I guess, close to finishing my degree, and like everyone would be asking me like, oh, when are you gonna finish? When are you gonna finish? When are you gonna finish? And I'm just like, is that the only thing you care about? Because where are you gonna be when I finish the degree? Are you gonna be hiring me? Are you like gonna be supporting, like, have you been there to support me during this degree? Like, it just didn't make sense why all these people would ask me, like my family, my parents, friends, like, no, like, let me be. Like, you honestly don't need to be in my business about it, And so I understand like the constant questioning by different people. Here in this case it's 2 people. First Claire asks, and then Cliff comes in again later and asks, how's it going? And of course, the shirt isn't good. She kind of made a few wrong turns, and she's kind of frustrated about it, that she might not finish this on time and that she needs more money. And so she asks Cliff for $10, and of course he gives $10 to her. And then so then Denise leaves to make the shirt, and Claire gives Cliff orange juice. And that usually that's the sign of, if someone's sick, you would give them oranges or orange juice. So Cliff is like, I'm not sick. And so of course, Claire knows that he's sick. Theo, so then now Theo's in like in a robe upstairs, Clearly, he just got out of the shower. It had some cologne on, and it smells like a lot. And Denise is like, "What is that smell?" It's cologne. And Denise has the shirt ready, and Theo's like, "Is it ready?" And she's like, "Yeah." He takes it right away. He runs, and Denise asks Vanessa, "Do you want to talk?" And she's like shocked, like, why does my older sister want to talk to me? Because they're always fighting, right? And so Vanessa asks, like, what should they talk about? Because usually they don't talk. And so Vanessa mentions that Jan Miser got a new bike today. Yet again, this is the second time we've heard about Janet Miser. Let's see, when will we meet her for the first time? I can't remember if she's in this season or not. I know she's in season 2. But I was surprised to hear that she's mentioned. Clearly Janet Miser is her best friend. We clearly understand this. And then if all sudden Theo yells and Vanessa's like, it's all over, and Denise makes that nod being like, yeah, I agree.
Denise!
It's over, isn't it?
Is this my shirt? Is this the shirt I paid $30 for? Is this the shirt they're supposed to think is a Gorden Gartelle?
You don't like it?
Ask me the question again.
You don't like it?
I hate it. Look at it. Oh. It's the ugliest shirt I've ever seen.
It's not that bad, is it? It's better than I could do.
Look at these sleeves. My arms are the same length. Where are my sleeves? This collar's all crazy and its inside is too big.
Well, maybe if you tucked it in a little more.
It's tucked into my socks. You are gonna pay for this.
Well, it's the last time I'm ever making anything for you again!
Good.
And the shirt is like messed up. Nothing close to that Gorden Gartelle shirt that he tried on at the beginning of the show. The sleeves are not even, as one being shorter than the other. The neck, or the thing around the neck, I didn't understand that blue thing around the neck was very uneven. And the fact that the back was like half blue. The buttons don't go together equally, like it's all crunched up with the shirt, and apparently according to Theo it's a very big, and he tucks it all the way up his socks. It's just his reaction. Malcolm he's such a good actor, like at that age, like that reaction, oh my god, like what teenager would act like that? Like that, Malcolm's acting skills were so on point on this episode. It's so well done. And so I loved the scene when he's yelling at Denise. Denise makes the question, be like, "You don't like it?" And he's like, "Ask me again that question." And of course he's like, "No, I don't like it. It's the ugliest thing he's ever seen." And so then we get to the living room and the doorbell rings and Claire goes to open the door and Rudy's there with her bear, and she's like, check if the door for robbers. And Claire was like, right. And so she opens the door, and of course she didn't actually check if there was robbers. She literally just opened it right away. So a guy and 2 girls come in. So the guy says his name is Philip Washington, and he is with Melissa James, and then there's Christine. So I just want to mention that this Philip Washington is played by Kadeem Hardison, who later portrays Dwayne Wayne on the Cosby Show spinoff, A Different World, which is another great show, and that's another show that I will be talking about that I love. It's a great depiction of an HBCU. Of course, Hillman is not a HBCU, which a real one, I mean, in real life, and we will be talking about Hillman on the next episode. So it's pretty cool to see that like he was on this episode, but he's gonna be the lead on the spin-off show. One fact about him is I was watching an Oprah interview that he was on because they were talking about A Different World, and this was like I think in 1991 or something like that. And he mentioned to Oprah that he did audition for the Cosby Show as one of the kids, but they thought he was too old to play Theo, and too young for Denise. And so the producer says that like they wanted to keep him, but he was like in limbo for like 2 years, and finally they gave him the job of being Dwayne Wayne, and he was older than Theo but younger than Denise. So it's good on him that he did such a great impression on him, on the producers at that time, that they kept thinking about him on when they were going to use him, and they decided to use him in a different world, and he did such a great job in that show. So, and to all the engineers out there that were inspired by that character, good on Kadeem, you know. Claire tries to find Theo because, of course, you know, his friends are here. And while they're waiting, Rudy is there and says, "Nice shirt" to Philip, and Philip says, "It's a Gorden Gartelle," and Rudy says, "Your shirt has a name," and so that was so cute of her to say, like kind of questioning and be like, "What?" And so she was like, "Oh, well, my bear has a name. It's named Bobo." It was so cute the way she said it. And then we get to the kitchen, and Cliff gets ice for his drink and holds it to his head as he clearly has a fever. Theo comes in with the shirt upset. Um, and the thing is, like, he put the ice in the Coke and then put it on his head, um and right away when he heard his name, he like dropped it down, and that's when Theo came in, and Theo was like so upset about the shirt, and Cliff, like, you can tell he's like laughing inside, but he turns his face around, and then he looks back serious, and Theo was like, "This is the ugliest thing in the world. This is so bad." And all of a sudden, Cliff starts laughing like crazy. He couldn't hold it in anymore. This is what the way he's laughing is me. This is how I am when I'm watching all these episodes. I start bursting out laughing like crazy. Cliff says starts talking about his Father's Day gift that he got from Theo when Theo was 6. How, you know, it was like a Miami yellow tie, and he had a medical convention to go to. And at age 6, Theo just told Cliff that he needed to wear that tie for the medical convention. And so instead of, you know, not wearing the tie, he wore it because he wanted to make his son happy. And so I was trying to like figure out what is the moral of this story? Like, what are we trying to point out? And for me too, I'm a little confused, like what is the point of the story? Let me know what was the point of the story. I have no idea what his point was. And Theo was like, "Can I go to the store and just get the shirt, and I'll be able to, you know, wear the shirt?" And Cliff is like, "No, you're not doing that." And like he's like, "Why not?" I learned my lesson. And he's like, "Well, I never actually returned the shirt to the store." And like Theo was like confused, like, "What?" And because clearly Cliff knew that this wasn't going to work out, so that's why he didn't return the shirt. He just wanted to prove a point in a way. And then so Theo was like so happy. So instead of going upstairs to the kitchen, he actually goes upstairs to tries to go to the living room to go upstairs. So, but he doesn't know that Christina's there, and so he goes and runs out, or not runs, but walks out, and Christina's there, and he is like in shock. He's like, "What is going? Like, I can't. Like, I am embarrassed." And Claire comes down to the kitchen, and clearly she's looking for Theo because the guests are here, right? And Cliff tries to go to the living room to get him, and Theo blocks the door because he's so like, "Oh my god, what is going on?" And then Cliff is like, I'm clearly sick because I can't even push this door." And Cliff comes out and notices that they're there, And Cliff decides to make this lie, being like, take off my shirt, like, this is my shirt. And Theo was like, hey, I'm not doing this. I'm going to be honest to Christine, say that this is his shirt. And Christine says that like, you could see Kadeem, or I guess Philip, he's like nervous for Theo, like, oh my god, you're wearing such an ugly shirt. But Christine says that she loves it. It's like a new style, and like she says like some kind of Asian name, it seemed like.
Christine, this is my shirt. Theo, I think maybe you got it on inside out. No. Christine, it's not a Gorden Gartelle, is it?
It's better. It's the new look, just like Ichi Amarada. It's in all the magazines. Theo, this shirt is hot.
Hey, why you think I'm wearing it?
So they were about to leave, and Theo was like, wait a minute, I need to do one more thing. And he runs up to get Denise. He tells her that Christine loved the shirt, and decides to bring Denise back downstairs to meet the ladies. And Philip asks if he can get a shirt made by Denise, and Cliff is like, no, it's an original. It's you make it once and you burn the pattern. I love that. And then the guys, they're ready to go, and they leave, and they close the door on the girls, so the girls are like basically not like, they didn't, like, you could tell they're teenagers, because if it's an older couple, the guy would open the door and let the girl go first. So that was just, something there. You could tell the maturity right there. Denise would be a designer one day, make the flag, because the flag doesn't have a zipper. It's so funny. And so then Denise leaves. Claire mentions that this is one disaster that we have solved, and Cliff Allison says, I'm sick. So he now admits that he is sick, and of course Claire says, I will take care of you, and he's like, yeah, I want soup, a bath and all this stuff. So it was cute, and that is the end of the show, or end of the episode. So for this episode, it was all in the house again. This is like the third episode that it's just in the house. I'm wondering to myself, I don't know if because I really don't remember much for season 1, but I wonder if most of the episodes are in just the house and not outside. We'll see as we go along. But we did have 2 guest stars, or I guess 3, because Kadeem was in this, but and we know that he was on a different world, and he also recently did Casey Undercover on Disney, as he played Zendaya's father. And then so there was the two ladies, Sonia Bailey and Cassandra Murray. So I was trying to look up what they've done, and they actually stopped acting after this episode. So I'm not sure, and I couldn't look up like where they are now. Just letting you know that I watch the Cosby Show on Amazon Prime. This is not like a plug or anything. I'm not sponsored by Amazon Prime. I just literally watch the episode on Amazon Prime. So if you want to watch along with me, you can subscribe to Amazon Prime. I just want to say that, I feel like the lesson of this episode is you do not need to impress someone with designer things. I think that's the message of this episode. If you're new to this podcast, I do a lesson of the episode every episode, because I believe that from these shows that I watch that are based on Black TV shows, you tend to learn a lesson from that episode. Especially the Cosby Show, they teach you so many they teach you so many lessons. And of course, once we get to a different world, we're going to learn so many different lessons. They might be more specific to different fields, but we'll learn a lot of about, I don't know what is going on with my words, about a lot of lessons. So for this lesson, for this episode, I would say you do not need to impress someone with designer things, because clearly Christine loved a very cheap shirt, And I also do a hashtag every episode where you can hashtag this the hashtag that I say, and tag Black TV Show Pod on Twitter so we can have more of a conversation. And so the hashtag for this show, or for this, I don't know what's going on with my words. Oh my god. I clearly am still nervous, I'm still new to this, is hashtag Gorden Gartelle. Don't know where he is today, but let's hashtag his name, as this is all we talked about in this episode. I don't know how, I should have counted how many times they mentioned his name. Of course, my question to you, and you can answer back on Twitter on the Black Show TV Show Pod, and of course use the hashtag Gorden Gartelle and answer this question for me, and is, have you ever bought something expensive just to impress someone? So I'm going to say the question again because clearly I could not talk. Have you ever bought something expensive just to impress someone? So let me know on Twitter, hashtag Gorden Gartelle, at Black TV Show Pod. I will see you on the next episode, where we will be talking about season 1, episode 6, Breaking with Tradition, which is of course the episode where we talk about, for the first time, about Hillman. So